Tottenham Hotspur being relegated still sounds like a joke, even though they finished 17th last year. This is a club with £1 billion stadium, global commercial deals and Champions League pedigree. And yet, sitting 16th in the league, just 5 points above the drop, having already parted ways with Thomas Frank in a move that screams emergency mode, the threat is very real. If the worst happens, this isn't just about pride, it's financial shock therapy. Spurs' annual revenues in recent seasons have pushed towards the £500 million mark, powered by Premier League broadcasting money, European nights and global sponsorships built on top-flight exposure. Relegation would rip a huge chunk out of that instantly. Even with parachute payments softening the blow, they'd likely lose well over £100 million in central income alone. Commercial clauses could be triggered, match day revenue would dip, and most crucially, a wage bill constructed for elite competition would suddenly be impossible to justify in the Championship. Translation: this squad would be picked apart. Let's begin in goal with Goalkeeper Vicario. Signed from Empoli, Vicario has arguably enhanced his reputation despite Tottenham's turbulence. His reflex saves, command in one-on-ones and comfort building from the back have drawn consistent praise. Italy doesn't produce many modern sweeper keepers with his profile. If Spurs go down, he becomes one of the most attractive goalkeepers on the European market. One of the big Italian clubs like Inter Milan would make enormous sense, especially with an aging Jan Sommer between the sticks. They consistently value proactive goalkeepers, and with long-term planning in mind, Vicario fits perfectly. A return to Serie A feels seamless. From calm to controlled aggression, Cristian Romero. A World Cup winner with Argentina, Romero doesn't just defend, he hunts. He steps into midfield to intercept, he dominates aerial duels, and he relishes physical duels. His metrics consistently rank him among the league's most front-foot centre-backs. Clubs like Real Madrid have always prized defenders with personality. Think of the lineage from Pepe to Sergio Ramos, and more recently Rudiger. Madrid have quietly monitored elite centre-back profiles as they evolve their defence core, and we all know they love a cheap deal. Romero's experience at the highest level, combined with his age profile, makes him a realistic Galactico-level defensive signing if Spurs collapse. And here's the key detail. Romero has never hidden his ambition. Champions League football is non-negotiable for players in his bracket. Relegation would force Spurs' hand and Madrid would smell blood. Mickey van der Ven offers the perfect stylistic contrast. Signed from Wolfsburg, his recovery pace has always become a viral talking point. In an era where elite teams defend with 40 yards behind them, van der Ven is insurance embodied. Bayern Munich are perpetually looking to refresh their back line with athletic, progressive defenders. A Bundesliga return with the likes of Munich, Dortmund or even Leipzig, this time as a headline signing, would feel like natural progression rather than opportunism. Liverpool, though, are still keen on him. Then we hit one of the crown jewels, Mohamed Kudus. When Kudus left Ajax, half of Europe was circling. His Champions League performances, particularly against elite opposition, showcased a player who thrives on big stages. He can operate centrally, off the right, or as a false nine. He carries the ball through traffic like it's magnetized to his boots, and crucially, he scores high-value goals. If Spurs were relegated, Kudus becomes the kind of market opportunity that top clubs wait years for. Liverpool was strongly linked with him before. Stylistically, he fits their transitional intensity. He can play wide right, cutting in, a profile that becomes even more attractive in succession planning scenarios. But here's where it gets really interesting. PSG have also admired multi-positional attackers who can break low blocks and explode in open space. Kudus is built for Champions League knockouts. If Spurs drop, this isn't a quiet £40 million deal. This becomes a bidding war north of £70 million, even in a distressed sale. Then we have the star boy, Xavi Simons. His development arc has been fascinating. From La Masia prodigy to Paris Saint-Germain asset to breakout star in Germany. His stint with RB Leipzig showed just how complete he's becoming. Double-digit goals, creative output, relentless work rate. He doesn't just create, he drives tempo. If Spurs somehow held him during a relegation season, PSG's contractual leverage would instantly come into play. They've structured deals cleverly in the past with buyback options and strategic clauses. Simons is not a championship footballer. He's a Champions League level attacking midfielder entering his prime years. Leipzig would likely push hard to sign him back permanently, but they would face stiff competition not only from the Bundesliga but the Premier League too, as he seems the kind of shrewd signing Guardiola would love. He also happens to fit right into Chelsea's archetype for signings. Also, clubs like Barcelona, always sentimental about La Masia graduates, would monitor the situation closely. Simons thrives in structured attacking systems with fluid positional rotation. Relegation would simply accelerate his return to the European elite. Dominic Solanke presents a different dynamic, but no less intriguing. He rebuilt his career at AFC Bournemouth through sheer resilience, and he's no stranger to Championship football. He evolved from promising academy graduate to one of the league's most intelligent pressing forwards. His hold-up play improved dramatically. His finishing became more clinical, and most importantly, he proved he can lead a line alone. If Spurs fall, Solanke won't revisit the Championship unless absolutely forced to. West Ham United have consistently searched for a striker capable of linking midfield runners with physical presence. Solanke fits that tactical profile beautifully. Arsenal, who value mobile forwards who press and combine, could also view him as depth with Premier League experience. Newcastle, Brentford, the list goes on. The only way he would be with Spurs in the Championship is if he wanted to. He's no longer a gamble. He's a refined plug-and-play Premier League number 9. Dejan Kulusevski feels destined for bigger nights. Having already starred for Juventus, a Serie A return wouldn't surprise anyone. His ability to drift inside onto his left foot and dictate tempo suits possession-dominant teams. AC Milan, Napoli, and a host of other top clubs would be lining up for the chance to reshape their right flank, and Kulusevski ticks every box. Richarlison is pure emotion. His connection to Everton remains strong, and a romantic return would ignite nostalgia. But pragmatically, a club like Aston Villa, pushing for consistent European nights, could see value if his price softens. He presses, he scores streaky goals, and he brings edge, all traits that Villa need to remain in the hunt for the big boys of the league. James Maddison is perhaps the most straightforward exit. Creative midfielders in their prime don't linger in the second tier. Manchester City have long valued technically secure creators who can operate between tight defensive lines, and Maddison's spatial awareness would make him a devastating rotational option in a possession-heavy system. Meanwhile, Newcastle have admired him for years. They pushed hard before, and they view him as someone who can elevate them from top 4 hopefuls to genuine contenders with consistent attacking output. A Premier League club would immediately snap him up, no questions asked. And Matthis Tel, the long-term project with an elite trajectory. Signed from Bayern Munich as one of Europe's brightest teenage forwards, he was always seen as Champions League caliber. Bayern are meticulous planners. If Spurs were relegated, they would at least explore pathways to regain control of his development. Tel is not a player you leave in the Championship. Only 20, if a return to Munich isn't on, we can already see him in a Dortmund jersey with their knack for developing young players. And that's the reality. Relegation at this level isn't just about points. It's about contracts with relegation clauses. It's about agents activating contingency plans. It's about elite players protecting international careers. Spurs wouldn't lose everyone. A few might stay to become promotion heroes, but the spine, Vicario, Romero, Kudus, and others would all disappear. They're built for glamorous European nights, not rainy nights in Stoke. If they go down, it will become a summer that reshapes half of Europe. Do you think that Spurs go down though? Let us know in the comments. Remember to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel. Also be sure to turn on post notifications so that you never miss out on any new videos. We'll see you next time. Bye.